Hello students and welcome back. Previously we have seen meaning of the constitution as well as we learned about that why do we need constitution, needs of constitution. So four things we found earlier we have discussed about those four things. Four things very first we can say that to generate degrees of trust. Second one, that about government formation, how to constitute the government. Third one, limit the powers of government and granting rights of the citizen. And fourth one, to fulfill aspirations of citizen to create good society. So these four needs we have seen earlier. Now we are going to discuss about making of the Indian Constitution. Like I mentioned before that making of Indian Constitution was not a very easy thing, not was an easy task actually for our constitution makers. But actually there were lots of difficulty which began from the time of struggle with British colonial government. So actually, like earlier I mentioned that drafting constitution was began before the independence, and at the time of independence, the tragedy we know very well. So we got independence with a great sacrifice, which torn the heart of the country. Means the India divided into two, India and Pakistan. We call it partition. Lakhs of people, millions of people were killed due to violence broke out in both the sides of the borders, India as well as in Pakistan. And so it was like a very tragic and very sad condition for the country. And of course, we had to pass through it. After that, one more difficulty before the constitution makers was that before the independence, India was divided into several kingdoms, many small kingdoms called princely kingdoms or princely states. Princely, basically here princely states means those states actually were under subordinates of British government. They were subordinates of British government. British crown was superior to them, and nominal kings were ruled those states. Means each state had their nominal king. I am using the word nominal king. Yeah, there were rulers, king, but actually those were subordinates of the British crown. So, like they were under British crown, British king or queen, and they had to follow their orders. I repeat, they had to follow orders. Orders given by the Viceroy of India, orders given by the officials of the British government in India. Those princely states, rulers of the princely states, they had to follow. But after, means at the time of independence, that British played another game. Means they left the choice to the those princely states, rulers of the princely states, whether they wanted to join India or Pakistan or ultimately independent. None of them, right? So those decisions they left on those rulers of princely states, so-called rulers of the princely states, but to say that. So it was another difficult task for the constitution makers. So they had that anxieties about the present and the future of the country. They draft the constitution, but with the anxieties, what about the present? Means present at that time as well as the future of India, future of the country. And this way they try to make or try to draft the best constitution for the present as well as for the future. So despite of these difficulties, there was advantage to us. Like other countries, they had many difficulties, but India has that one of the advantages in drafting the constitution. Means consensus about constitution, a consensus about the democratic country, which was adopted at the time of struggle, at the time of freedom movement against the British. So we didn't have that much problem about the ideas of democratic country. Our national movement was not only that movement or fight against the British government, but it was also that movement for revolution, is kind of revolution to renovate the social and political structure of India, not only political but social structure. So it was not merely a movement against the British government, but movement for changes, for reformation, social order as well as the political structure. So, but that time also that mainly in the political view, different people had a different political view. Like Mahatma Gandhi had their own political view, revolutionary had their own political view. So different people, different leaders basically, they had their own political view, and today also we find that differences in their opinion, their view. So apart from this, many of these common principles accepted by all of them, despite of their different opinion. Like as far as like if we talk about 1928, Motilal Nehru, that one of the founding father of the Indian National Congress today, we call it Congress, the political party. So Motilal Nehru was one of the leaders of the Indian National Congress, and they held assembly in the Lahore. So that called Lahore session of Congress in 1928. They drafted the constitution for the country as India and Pakistan, Bangladesh as together as one nation. They drafted the constitution for the same, and after that, some of the basic principles are accepted by all of them, like universal adult franchise means vote for all the citizens above 18 years and above, as well as protection of minorities right for the constitution for the India, as well as equality before the despite of their caste, religion, or any other diversities. So such principles are accepted by all of them, no matter what kind of political view they had or social views they had. They accepted such basic principles which drafted in the constitution, and they drafted the constitution for India in 1931. More about that. Those basic values which were drafted in 1931 accepted by the Constituent Assembly. Now there is a question, what is Constituent Assembly? We'll discuss about the Constituent Assembly after this topic, but let me tell you about the Constituent Assembly. This assembly, a group of people, and those people were elected members, those who drafted the document called Constitution. So this assembly, this group is called the Constituent Assembly. So this Constituent Assembly adopted those basic values which were drafted far back in the 1931. There were 299 members in the Constituent Assembly, and those were elected members. Now about those members and Constituent Assembly, we will discuss in the next video. But let me tell you, a few of them were well known and key persons, what we call the key people, like Sardar Patel, father of the Constitution, Dr. Ambedkar, Abdul Kalam Azad, many of them. About those key people, those information about them given in your textbook, I'll upload in the dedicated video, that possibly next video I'll upload about it as well after this, about the key people, and you have to remember about those people, their face and their achievements and who were they actually. So brief information I will need. So my request to you that kindly watch the next video which I will regarding those people. Now let's continue with the parts to the Constitution. The familiarity of the institution was not difficult because those members of the Constitution adopted the system from the British era. It's like a system of police department as well as administration, some kind of somehow education system. So many of the systems were adopted from the British era. It's a British government that initiated in India. So these systems, after some kind of reformation, they adopted for the India. In our constitution, they describe that system, like system of police department, system of administration of the country. Such kind of various system adopted from the British government. Years of thinkings and deliberation on framework of the constitution, we had another benefit. Leaders gain confidence to learn from other countries. Means Constituent Assembly and their decisions were not like easy, like the ideas came into their mind and this written in the form of a document called constitution. No, there were procedures they had to follow. About the procedures we will discuss in the next video. But so long procedure and the time, we have one advantage. They got one advantage that they inspired from many other countries. Like they inspired from the French Revolution. About it we have learned already. They also accepted that parliamentary system we follow today that adopted from the British government. In British monarchical form of government, along with it they have parliament. So that system adopted from the British government. Instead of a monarch, here we have one head of the nation, that is called president, which is elected person, because India is a republic country. Now, republic country, meaning of republic country, ahead in this chapter we will discuss further, just for your information. So further, they accepted the practice of parliamentary democracy system from the Britain, as well as they also that inspired from the Bills of Rights from the USA and Russia after the Russian Revolution. So we have adopted many a system, many ideas, many principles from different countries, which is better for us, like it's a combination of various past things in the world. They inspired from many Indians also. It's not about that we have adopted various principles and system from different countries, but no, those who drafted the constitution, they accepted the principles and ideas of the Indian philosophers as well, Indian thinkers as well. So they simply limited other what they have done. At each step, they were questioning whether this thing should for our country or not, or suitable or not. All these factors contributed the making of the Indian Constitution. Next thing about the Indian Constitution, that the procedure, how did they draft the Indian Constitution through the Constituent Assembly, about the procedure and all those things I'll discuss in the next video. So stay tuned, and one more thing, happy Eid to all of you as well as your family from the entire Material